It has been 5 years since an Amber Alert was activated for Summer Wells out of Hawkins County. It's our top story tonight. Good evening. I'm Sarah Diamond.
And I'm Casey Marler. The then 5-year-old little girl was last seen at her home in the Beach Creek community. No one has been arrested or charged since her disappearance. There's been few answers about what happened, but law enforcement says the case is far from cold.
Late last year, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation followed up on a tip on Van Hill Road in Greenville, about 9.5 miles from the Wells family home. The agency says there is nothing more they can release about that search, but did say progress had been made over the last year in a video statement released this morning.
We continue to urge anyone with firsthand information regarding Summer's disappearance to come forward. Even the smallest detail could make all the difference.
News Channel 11's Ansley Daniel joins us now in studio with more on the case after talking with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Ansley?
Yeah, Sarah and Casey, like TBI Director David Rausch, the vice president of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, says cases can break years later with even the smallest of details that may come out. John Bischoff is the vice president over the Missing Children Division there at the center that provides tools and resources to help in investigations like Summer's. They're known for their missing child posters and the forensic artists who create age-progressed composites that highlight certain features. The center says that keeping Summer's name and face circulating is the best way to generate tips and leads, even 5 years later.
Anytime we can work to keep a missing child image out into the community, let the community know that the child's still missing, we increase, hopefully, the right person, the possibility of the right person saying, you know, I recall something about that day. I thought it was nothing at the time, but I should say something, right? And that's what we're pushing for.
Age-progressed photos are created every 2 years, and the center will release another one of her next year if law enforcement wishes that they do so. Now, we did reach out to Summer's parents, Dawn and Candace Wells, for an interview. They declined, but they did want to thank those who care about their daughter, Summer, and they say that kindness and prayers mean a lot to them. They also, quote, say that only God can restore our family.
Ansley, thanks. Again, Summer Wells is still missing. There is an active Amber Alert still for her. Take a look at a photo on the left, what she looked like around the time of her disappearance. And then the age-progressed photos released 3 years ago and then last year. If you have information about what may have happened to her, you're asked to call 1-800-TBI-FIND. It has been
Welcome to Crystal's Crime and Music. Today's video is dedicated to Summer Wells. I know some people may have noticed that I stayed quiet on Summer's anniversary, and I want to explain why. For me, that day is not a day for celebration. It is a sad day. It is a heavy day. It is a day that reminds all of us that a little girl is still missing, a family still does not have answers, and a community is still carrying the weight of what happened. So instead of posting just to post, or treating the anniversary like content, I spent the day quietly working on this video, because I wanted to use that time for something that mattered. I wanted to put together something that did not just talk about Summer, but talked about prevention, awareness, warning signs, law enforcement, technology, parents, communities, and every piece of the system that has to work if we want to stop more children from disappearing. This video is not about fear. It is about awareness. It is about understanding how fast danger can move online, how predators use trust, secrecy, technology, public spaces, and weak spots in systems to get close to children. It is about why parents have to know what apps their kids are using, why schools and communities have to pay attention, why businesses matter, why law enforcement needs strong partnerships, why prosecutors and attorneys general matter, and why every single person who notices something strange needs to speak up. Because preventing another case like Summer's does not happen from one person doing everything. It happens when parents, neighbors, teachers, coaches, churches, businesses, police, cybercrime teams, prosecutors, and everyday people stop ignoring warning signs and start treating child safety like everyone's responsibility. So get ready, grab your coffee, your weed, your popcorn, whatever you need, because we are going into this deep, and we are going into it for a reason. This is how we protect children. This is how we learn. This is how we pay attention before it is too late. This is how we try to prevent more summers, more missing children, and more families from living in the nightmare of not knowing where their child is. Summer Wells deserves answers. Her case still matters. Her name still matters. And on this sad anniversary, this video is dedicated to her while we continue hoping and praying that the truth comes out. If you know anything about Summer Wells, anything at all, no matter how small it may seem, please call 1-800-TBI-FIND. That is 1-800-824-3463. Tips, leads, memories, conversations, things you heard, things you saw, anything that could help investigators find Summer or bring answers, please make the call. Copyright disclaimer. All content on Crystal's Crime and Music is created for educational, informational, commentary, and entertainment purposes only. The opinions expressed on this channel are my own and should not be considered facts, legal advice, professional advice, or official statements. Viewers are encouraged to do their own research and form their own opinions. Some video clips, photos, screenshots, music, media, news footage, public records, or other materials used on this channel may belong to their respective copyright owners. I do not claim ownership of third-party materials unless otherwise stated. Materials may be used under fair use, Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act of 1976, for purposes such as commentary, criticism, education, news reporting, research, discussion, and public awareness. The purpose of this channel is to educate, discuss, raise awareness, and encourage conversation around crime cases, music, public safety, missing persons, justice, and community issues. If you are a copyright owner and believe content has been used in a way that concerns you, please contact me directly so the matter can be handled respectfully and promptly. No copyright infringement is intended. Thank you for supporting Crystal's Crime and Music. Stay aware, stay safe, stay kind. This is Crystal's Crime and Music reporting to you on something making headlines in the media. A story that, honestly, every parent and every community in America should be paying attention to. Before we even begin, I want you to really stop and look at these faces on your screen. Take a good look, because these are not characters from a crime show. These are not monsters hiding in dark alleys wearing warning labels. These are real people, men who walked through communities, held jobs, lived next door to families, worked around children, blended into everyday life, and according to law enforcement, were allegedly willing to cross lines that should never, ever be crossed. Predators like this do not only exist in one town, one county, or one state. Men just like this exist in communities all across America. Big cities, small towns, rich neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods, it does not matter. And that is exactly what makes this so disturbing. Because when most people picture danger, they picture something obvious. A stranger lurking around, someone suspicious standing on a corner. But real life does not always look like that. Sometimes danger looks normal. Sometimes it looks trusted. Sometimes it looks like the football coach, the teacher, the man standing behind you in line at Walmart, the neighbor who waves hello, the person nobody would ever suspect. And when this press conference starts, what immediately stood out to me was the visual, face after face after face displayed across that screen. Different ages, different backgrounds, different lives, yet investigators say they were all connected to something deeply disturbing. Whether you agree with every tactic law enforcement uses or not, one thing is impossible to ignore. People who prey on children cause devastating harm in communities across this country every single day. So today, we are going to break this down together. What happened, what stood out to me, what was said during this press conference, and why this is not just a Florida story. This is an American story.
All right, first of all, welcome. I want to thank everyone that is here and present. I want to especially thank each of you press members that are here. I know that might be unusual coming from me, but the fact that you are here and care about our society, care about our communities and the crimes that are going to occur, that you're willing to be out here and help us get this message out. I have many agencies here, representatives. Obviously, I have Colonel House with FHP, AG Uthmeyer, and Commissioner Glass here who will be speaking here in a little bit. And I want to start, I'm going to give you a highlight. Now, this operation, ICAC operation, was a 6-day operation. Now, a lot of people don't understand, don't know what the operation entails, what exactly it looks like. And here it is in basic terms for everybody. Detectives are posing as children or as bad parents trafficking their children. And this operation nets unfortunately, more arrests every single time we do it. Now, on one hand, you like success, but in these cases, success also means that there's evil things out there that are going on.
Before we get into the names, faces, and arrests, I think people really need to understand something important. Operations like this do not just happen overnight. This is not law enforcement creating a fake account one afternoon and suddenly catching dozens of people in a week. What you are seeing during a press conference like this is the end result of months of preparation, planning, training, technology, and coordination happening behind the scenes. Detectives have to carefully create believable online identities, posing as children or sometimes even adults connected to children, depending on the operation. They have to study how kids actually talk online, what apps young people are using, the slang, abbreviations, gaming language, and how predators try to manipulate trust. Every message has to feel believable. One wrong word, one sentence that sounds too grown up, one weird response, and a suspect can disappear. These investigators are spending hours, sometimes months, inside disturbing conversations, pretending to be vulnerable children while gathering evidence strong enough to stand up in court. Then there is the planning that happens before anyone is ever arrested, and honestly, I think most people underestimate how much work goes into it. Law enforcement is documenting everything: screenshots, chat logs, videos, phone calls, photos, usernames, travel plans, and anything showing intent. Because showing up matters, but what someone says beforehand matters too. Did they believe they were meeting a child? Did they discuss ages? Did they describe sexual acts? Did they bring gifts, money, or items to lure a child? Every single detail matters because prosecutors have to prove intent, not assumptions. While all of that is happening, officers are also planning how arrests will happen safely. They have to ask difficult questions. Is this person dangerous? Could they have weapons? Will they run? Are children nearby at the arrest location? Are there other victims possibly inside a home? Every location has to be planned out carefully because one wrong move during an operation like this could put innocent people, officers, or even real children in danger. What also stood out to me in this press conference was the sheer number of agencies involved, because that alone tells you how serious and complicated these investigations really are. This was not just one sheriff's office doing everything by themselves. You had local law enforcement, state agencies, cybercrime investigators, prosecutors, task forces, federal partners, and forensic analysts all working together. That means hundreds and hundreds of hours behind the scenes that nobody watching at home ever sees. Someone has to monitor chats in real time. Someone has to preserve digital evidence so defense attorneys cannot tear it apart later. Someone has to track travel routes if a suspect is driving across counties or states. Somebody has to process phones and computers after arrests are made. And maybe the hardest part of all, investigators then have to ask themselves if the person arrested may already have victims in real life. Because when someone one sheriff's office doing everything by themselves. You had local law enforcement, state agencies, cybercrime investigators, prosecutors, task forces, federal partners, and forensic analysts all working together. That means hundreds and hundreds of hours behind the scenes that nobody watching at home ever sees. Someone has to monitor chats in real time. Someone has to preserve digital evidence so defense attorneys cannot tear it apart later. Someone has to track travel routes if a suspect is driving across counties or states. Somebody has to process phones and computers after arrests are made. And maybe the hardest part of all, investigators then have to ask themselves if the person arrested may already have victims in real life. Because when someone allegedly travels believing they are meeting a child, law enforcement immediately starts wondering, has this happened before? And something I do not think people talk about enough is the emotional toll this work takes on investigators. During the press conference they briefly touched on it, but really stop and think about what that means. These officers spend days, weeks, and months reading disturbing conversations, viewing horrible material, pretending to be children while grown adults say deeply disturbing things to them, and then they still have to go home to their own families afterward. Some of these investigators are parents. Some have children or grandchildren the exact ages being targeted. Yet they continue showing up because somebody has to. Somebody has to sit behind that computer. Somebody has to continue those conversations long enough to gather evidence. Somebody has to stop a person before a real child becomes the victim. And after hearing what went into this operation, one thing becomes very clear: this kind of work is exhausting, emotionally heavy, incredibly expensive, and deeply complicated, but the people involved believe the goal is simple: stop harm before it reaches another child.
The activities, this type of crime, isn't limited to Marion County. It occurs in every county in this state. It occurs in every state through this nation. Now here in Marion County, we take a very aggressive, proactive approach to this. No holds barred. Because I want to find every one of these pieces of shits and get them out of my county. Hopefully get them out of every county and get them out, as you're going to see here through some of the names we're going to run through, get them out of the United States. They have no business here. They have no business preying on our children every single day. There are fathers and there are mothers in this room. There are fathers that are standing next to me. One that has one on the way. I know he fully understands as a parent the seriousness of these crimes. And really, my message out here is to the parents that are watching. You need to be aware. Listen to everything that is going to be said by myself, by the three speakers, in all these cases. Everything that you're going to put out there, parents, you need to pay attention. These predators simply found us. They found our profiles. They solicited us. The only thing that we did is we joined whatever application, whatever website, many of them out there. It doesn't make a difference what it is because they are all vulnerable for children to be able to get access to. Every single.
One thing I think parents really need to understand is this. Most of these websites and apps were never designed with predators in mind first. They were designed for growth, engagement, entertainment, and keeping people online as long as possible. Gaming apps want kids playing for hours. Social media companies want users scrolling endlessly. Messaging apps want constant communication. The problem is, children and teenagers naturally gravitate toward places where they can socialize, make friends, feel independent, and escape adult supervision for a little while. And predators understand that better than anyone. They go where children already are. What makes these websites vulnerable is not necessarily that every company is intentionally careless, but that technology moves faster than safety protections do. New apps appear overnight. Features change constantly. Private messaging opens. Temporary disappearing messages become popular. Live chats, voice chats, gaming headsets, private groups, fake profiles, and hidden usernames create environments where adults can disguise themselves shockingly well. By the time parents even learn the name of an app, kids have often already moved on to 3 more. Another reason these platforms are vulnerable is because children, by nature, are trusting and curious, especially online where danger does not always look dangerous. In real life, a child may know not to get into a stranger's car, but online? That stranger can slowly become someone who feels familiar. A predator might spend days, weeks, or even months building trust before anything alarming ever happens. They often study what a child likes: music, games, sports, insecurities, family problems, loneliness, favorite creators, and slowly shape themselves into someone who feels safe. Maybe they pretend to be another teenager. Maybe they claim they're only a year older. Maybe they tell a child, "You're mature for your age," or "Nobody understands you like I do." And because so many websites allow anonymous usernames, fake profile pictures, private messages, or accounts that disappear, children often have no real way of knowing who is actually behind the screen. To them, it feels like friendship. To investigators, it often looks like calculated manipulation. And something else that makes this problem so difficult is that parents are fighting an invisible battle. Years ago, danger might have looked like somebody physically lurking around a school, park, or neighborhood. Today, danger walks directly into homes through phones, gaming systems, tablets, laptops, and apps sitting in a child's bedroom. A parent can be in the next room believing their child is simply playing a game or talking to classmates while someone dangerous is quietly building trust on the other side of that screen. And what makes it even harder is that predators adapt quickly. The second one platform becomes monitored or unpopular, they move to another. They use gaming chats, disappearing messages, voice changers, fake photos, private servers, encrypted apps, and usernames that reveal almost nothing about who they really are. That does not mean every app is evil or every online friendship is dangerous, but it does mean parents cannot afford to assume technology is safe simply because it is popular. The reality is, predators are often learning the internet just as fast, and sometimes faster, than the adults trying to protect children.
Single one of them. And I also want you to keep in mind, we're only talking about individuals that we arrested who were traveling here to Marion County. There are other cases that we didn't get to put physical hands on them as well. And that's more to come after this. These predators, the demographics doesn't make a difference. Doesn't matter your social status, doesn't make a difference of your race, doesn't make a difference in ethnicity. It is a wide scale of individuals. Pure evil is what it is.
One of the biggest mistakes people make when talking about crimes involving children or online exploitation is assuming there is some single look to a predator. Some obvious warning sign, some stereotype, some image in their mind of what danger is supposed to look like. But if there is one thing operations like this repeatedly show us, it is that demographics simply do not matter the way many people think they do. Age does not matter, race does not matter, income level does not matter, political beliefs do not matter, education does not matter, social status does not matter. The uncomfortable truth is that harmful behavior can come from anywhere and from anyone. People want danger to be easy to spot because that feels safer. We want to believe danger only exists in dark corners, sketchy neighborhoods, or among people who look suspicious. But reality is often much harder to accept than that. Sometimes it is the respected person in the community. Sometimes it is somebody with a good job, a family, a clean record, or someone people trust around children. Sometimes it is a teenager. Sometimes it is an older adult. Sometimes it is someone wealthy, someone struggling financially, someone highly educated, or someone who barely finished school. And if we only focus on one type of person, one race, one age group, one neighborhood, or one stereotype, we risk completely missing warning signs because we convince ourselves danger doesn't look like that. That kind of thinking can create blind spots, and blind spots are exactly where harmful people thrive. That is why I believe we have to take every demographic seriously and approach child safety with open eyes instead of assumptions. This does not mean we treat every person like a criminal or walk around suspicious of everybody. But it does mean we stop assuming some people are automatically safe while others automatically are not. Because children deserve protection no matter who the risk comes from. If a child says something feels uncomfortable, if behavior feels inappropriate, if someone is crossing boundaries online or offline, the response should not depend on a person's race, age, social class, career, gender, or reputation. Harmful behavior is harmful behavior. Period. And one thing this press conference made very clear is that investigators themselves said the demographics were all over the place, different ages, different backgrounds, different circumstances. That matters because it reminds parents, teachers, coaches, and communities of something important. Safety cannot be based on stereotypes. Real awareness means paying attention to behaviors, patterns, secrecy, manipulation, boundary crossing, and inappropriate interactions, not simply what somebody looks like or where they come from. Because when we assume danger only comes in one form, sometimes we overlook the forms that are standing right in front of us.
We caught illegals, we caught legals, immigrants, fathers, coaches, husbands, even a student. In all, in 6 days, for right now, 58 bodies, 58 individuals that we've arrested. Their photos are up there. If the outline is in pink, they were trying to meet up with a girl. If it's in blue, they were trying to get a boy. This was a large-scale operation. And I want you to understand one other thing. This office, and I know for the state of Florida, we will spare no expense to catch and put behind bars and put in prison these individuals.
A large sting operation like the one you watched can easily cost tens of thousands to several $100,000, and some multi-agency operations can push well over $1 million depending on size, length, manpower, technology, overtime, and how many agencies are involved. People sometimes think it is just a few cops pretending to be kids online, but honestly, that is one of the biggest misunderstandings about these operations. What you are seeing at a press conference is the final result, but behind it are months of payroll, planning, digital investigations, equipment, legal work, travel, surveillance, and manpower. Think about it. If you have 40, 50, or even 100 plus investigators, analysts, prosecutors, cybercrime teams, supervisors, undercover officers, arrest teams, and forensic specialists involved, every single one of those people is being paid. Some are working overtime, some are pulled from other assignments. Some agencies bring in hotel rooms, rental vehicles, undercover locations, technology equipment, command centers, or temporary task force offices. Even the people monitoring messages for weeks beforehand are costing money because that is time spent on salary. And then after arrests happen, the expenses keep going: evidence processing, forensic phone extractions, computer analysis, court preparation, expert witnesses, jail processing, prosecutors, and follow-up investigations into possible victims. Technology alone can become incredibly expensive. Investigators often use specialized digital forensic software to recover deleted messages, trace accounts, preserve evidence, and process phones or computers. Cybercrime units may use undercover software, encrypted communication systems, evidence storage, license plate readers, surveillance cameras, GPS tracking tools, with warrants and databases connecting multiple jurisdictions. Then add in physical operational costs. If officers are coordinating arrests across a city or county, there are vehicles, gas, tactical teams, overtime, radios, temporary surveillance setups, food for long shifts, hotel partnerships, meeting spaces, and command staff running logistics almost like a military operation. Some stings run 5 to 10 days, but preparation can last months beforehand. And if federal agencies become involved, costs often increase because investigations expand wider and sometimes cross state lines. So why spend that kind of money? That becomes the bigger question. From law enforcement's perspective, the argument is prevention. The idea is that stopping one person before a real child is harmed is worth the cost. Investigators often say these operations are about interruption, stopping behavior before it becomes a victimization case or identifying people who may already have victims. Critics sometimes argue stings are expensive, resource-heavy, and should focus more on prevention education or existing abuse cases, while supporters argue you cannot put a dollar amount on protecting children or preventing long-term trauma. Realistically, departments often justify these costs through grants, federal funding, child exploitation task force money, nonprofit partnerships, and shared resources between agencies, so no single department carries the entire bill alone. In big operations like the one you watched, what looks like 58 arrests on TV is often actually months of work and an enormous financial investment happening behind the scenes.
And I want to personally say thank you to all the individuals. First is to my community, business community. They are phenomenal. Now, we are blessed in the state of Florida, as the AG knows, with our community who loves their first responders. They love to fight crime. And they stepped up to the plate. They provided meals for my deputies, for the officers, for the attorneys, everybody that was involved. They stepped up to the plate.
Businesses getting involved in operations like this is incredibly important because, whether people realize it or not, businesses often become the places, systems, and digital pathways where warning signs first appear, and sometimes they are the difference between harm being stopped or harm continuing unnoticed. Hotels, motels, gas stations, restaurants, rideshare services, banks, cell phone companies, storage facilities, online platforms, social media companies, retail stores, and even small local businesses all see pieces of a puzzle that law enforcement may not immediately have access to. A hotel employee may notice suspicious room behavior, repeated short stays, fake IDs, multiple unrelated minors being brought into rooms, or someone paying cash and avoiding questions. A gas station or store may capture surveillance footage showing travel routes or important timelines. Rideshare companies may provide trip records. Phone providers and tech companies may preserve communication data after legal requests. Social media platforms can flag suspicious activity, preserve evidence, or respond to warrants that help investigators piece together patterns of behavior. And beyond technology and evidence, businesses also help because they are part of the community. They are the eyes and ears in places police simply cannot be at all times. Employees are often the first people to notice when something feels wrong, and many times their instincts, training, or willingness to speak up can stop harm before it escalates. Businesses also have a responsibility to the communities that support them, because families shop there, stay there, trust them, and expect safe environments. No company wants to become known as the place where warning signs were ignored, where harmful activity was overlooked, or where opportunities to protect someone were missed. At the end of the day, child safety and community protection work best when law enforcement is not standing alone. When businesses, workers, parents, schools, and communities all work together, share concerns, report suspicious behavior, and understand that sometimes preventing harm starts with simply paying attention and being willing to say, something about this does not feel right.
You'll see that FDLE, my buddy Sheriff Judd, Polk County was involved. Columbia County, Sheriff Kitchens sent individuals. The Ocala Police Department, Chief Balkin. Lake City Police Department, Chief Butler. The Florida Highway Patrol. U.S. Marshals Task Force, Homeland Security, the FBI, the Florida Sheriff's Association, and I'll say it on camera like I always do, the best state attorney in this state, the 5th Judicial Circuit, Bill Gladson, the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Middle District, and of course, the best AG in the entire United States for each of the states is our own General Uthmeyer's office, always participating and being part of this. So let me run through.
One thing I think many people underestimate is that operations like this are simply too large, too complicated, and too specialized for one single agency to handle alone. These cases often involve technology, travel, undercover work, surveillance, legal issues, digital evidence, victim identification, and public safety all happening at the same time. A local police department might know the community and handle street-level investigations, but cybercrime units may be needed to trace accounts, recover deleted messages, analyze phones, computers, gaming chats, apps, and online activity. State agencies may help coordinate resources across counties, while federal agencies sometimes step in if investigations cross state lines, involve larger criminal networks, trafficking concerns, interstate communication, or complex digital crimes. Prosecutors have to advise investigators to make sure evidence is collected legally and charges will actually hold up in court. Specialized forensic teams may process devices, recover hidden evidence, or connect suspects to other investigations. Tactical officers may handle arrests if someone is considered dangerous or potentially armed. Analysts may spend weeks connecting usernames, travel routes, records, phone data, surveillance footage, and timelines to build the bigger picture. Some agencies focus on protecting possible victims, others focus on digital evidence, while still others coordinate logistics, command centers, warrants, and communication between departments. And honestly, when you watch a press conference showing dozens of arrests, what you are really seeing is hundreds or even thousands of hours of people from different backgrounds, specialties, and jurisdictions all working together because no single department realistically has every tool, every expert, every technology system, or every legal authority needed to make an operation this large happen safely and successfully on its own.
Run through a couple of these individuals. Jeremiah Johnson. He was speaking with detectives for 9 months. And then during this operation, he got on a bus from Atlanta, showed up expecting to have sex with a 13-year-old girl. Patrick Hahn, local individual, worked at the restaurant in one of our Walmarts. He made arrangements to meet with a 14-year-old girl in the bathroom at Walmart. Now, when my deputy showed up, he literally crapped in his pants. Love it. Scared him to death. Robert Mixon. Robert Mixon lives across the street from Tuscaloosa Park in the city of Ocala, where children play. He made arrangements to meet with a 15-year-old girl. Peyton Sims wanted to meet a girl at 14 years of age over in Ormond Beach. Now, he did comment to what he thought was talking to a 14-year-old, and his comments was, I don't want to show up and this be a Chris Hansen thing. Well, he was right, but the dumbass still showed up. The juvenile which we did get, Kingston McAllister, 16-year-old. Now, this is where, as a father, this is where it breaks my heart. And here, before I go any further with his information, there is more than just a single victim of a child in these cases. These parents, I could not fathom, AG, I don't think you could either, fathom being the parent of this 16-year-old boy. His full intent was than just a single victim of a child in these cases. These parents, I could not fathom, AG, I don't think you could either, fathom being the parent of this 16-year-old boy. His full intent was to meet a 15-year-old boy for sex and a 7-year-old girl for sex. He also had child pornography on his phone.
When a case involves a child or a teenager acting in a sexually harmful way, we have to remember there can be more than one victim in the story. The child being targeted is a victim, but sometimes the young person acting out may also be carrying damage, confusion, exposure, trauma, or learned behavior from somewhere else. That never excuses harm. Harmful behavior still has to be stopped immediately. But if we only look at punishment and never ask, where did this come from? Then we miss the chance to prevent the next victim. Generational abuse can create a cycle where children grow up around unsafe boundaries, secrecy, inappropriate adult behavior, neglect, violence, addiction, or untreated trauma, and they may repeat what was normalized to them. A 16-year-old acting this way may have been exposed to adult content too young, abused themselves, pressured by older people, groomed online, addicted to extreme content, lacking supervision, struggling with impulse control, trying to feel powerful after feeling powerless, copying behavior they saw, or dealing with serious emotional problems that adults missed. Parents should watch for sudden secrecy online, hiding screens, multiple hidden accounts, obsessive private messaging, inappropriate sexual language for their age, fixation on younger children, pressuring others, collecting or sharing sexual images, anger when devices are checked, withdrawing from family, sudden mood changes, risky peer groups, cruelty, manipulation, or acting much older or much younger than their age. Prevention means talking early, often, and calmly about consent, privacy, body safety, online safety, empathy, boundaries, and consequences. It means supervising devices, checking apps, knowing usernames, keeping bedrooms from becoming secret online worlds, teaching kids they can report uncomfortable behavior without getting automatically screamed at, getting therapy fast when warning signs appear, and making sure schools, parents, coaches, churches, and communities understand that silence protects the wrong people. If a child is in immediate danger, call 911. To report suspected child abuse or get help finding where to report in your state, call or text the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-422-4453. They are available 24/7. For online child exploitation, grooming, enticement, or child sexual abuse material, report to NCMEC's cyber tipline or call 1-800-THE-LOST, which is 1-800-843-5678. Survivors and families can also contact RAINN's National Sexual Assault Hotline at 800-656-HOPE, which is 800-656-4673, or chat online for confidential support.
Now, I went out on a couple of these cases with the teams, and I got to see it firsthand. Wyatt Bernstein. Marion, you need to pay attention to this. When I tell you it doesn't make a difference of who they are, you cannot tell who they are. Little league football coach here in Marion was trying to meet up with a 15-year-old boy. And one of his comments to the detectives online, telling the boy not to take a shower because he likes him to smell musty. That's messed up. You know, the middle picture, probably when I was there, this is what bothered me the most, is that child seat. Two things ran through my mind. The first thing is the child seat is there with all the toys, maybe to entice or to continue to lure the children that they want. But then the second thing that came to mind is he has kids. Now, every one of us in law enforcement, every one of us that are sworn in here, the first thing comes to mind is, are those children victims as well? Now, I went out on a couple.
One of the hardest truths for parents, grandparents, and caregivers to accept is that danger does not always come from strangers, and honestly, that is what makes protecting children so difficult. We naturally want to believe the people closest to our kids are safe, especially people society teaches us to trust. Teachers, babysitters, coaches, family friends, youth leaders.
There she is. Can you hear me? I didn't put my icon on. Hold on. Oh, it didn't work. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this. Yes, I found a real Ruby Bell. Can you hear me? Can somebody let me know if you can hear me? Oh, weird, Kylie. That is weird. Okay, anyways, I wrote on here, you ready? At Killer Looks. She is real, just wrong city though. Playboy did do some shit at Knoxville, Mouse's Ear, so do the girls travel. At Ziggy, at Jody Sue Brown, your old job, huh? Let's talk. Let's think about the name of this strip club. Anyone ever been to Disney? Mouse's Ear, hashtag TBI, hashtag FBI card team, Summer Wells, hashtag Hawkins County. What you're looking at is a Ruby Bell. She's a deaf dancer that works in Johnson City. I can't do this. I look like shit. Hold on. Look at me. Anyways, she works in Johnson City at the Mouse's Ear. And I found some information about a Playboy that had actually been arrested at a Mouse's Ear in Knoxville. So I'm wondering, do these girls travel? And what this does is show us that Fred has been telling us some truth. I haven't yet sent this into TBI, but I plan to. As soon as I get it all compiled together, I have to look at it and make sure I see what I'm seeing is what I'm seeing. And then I'm sending it to TBI, but I did hashtag them in that, and I know that it will send this to their systems because I've gone over that with you guys several times. But anyways, there's a lot of other interesting stuff I found while looking through screenshots on my community post, so make sure you're not missing it. All right, I'm going to cut this little intermission, and we're going to go back to this video. I worked for more than 24 hours with no sleep. Well, no, I slept. But the minute I got up, yeah. All right, guys, let me go back to this video for Summer.
Neighbors, doctors, tutors, religious figures, or adults heavily involved in children's lives. And the uncomfortable reality is that while most people in those positions are caring, safe, and genuinely want to help children succeed, sometimes harmful people intentionally place themselves in trusted roles because access creates opportunity. That is what makes this so complicated. Harmful adults do not usually walk around with warning labels. Many appear kind, respected, patient, successful, funny, involved in the community, or great with kids. They may volunteer often, earn trust quickly, or seem like the person everyone praises. Sometimes entire communities struggle to believe concerns because the person appears so respected. And that is exactly why parents often feel blindsided, because harmful behavior can hide behind trust, routine, authority, and reputation. What makes this even harder is that harmful behavior often starts small, subtle, and easy to dismiss. It may not look alarming at first. Sometimes it starts with favoritism, one child getting extra attention, special gifts, private rides, excessive texting, secret conversations, one-on-one time that feels unnecessary, or adults encouraging children to keep things from parents. Sometimes boundaries slowly shift over time. A trusted adult may begin acting more like a friend than an adult authority figure, oversharing personal problems, making inappropriate jokes, becoming emotionally dependent on a child, or isolating them from others. Sometimes parents hear themselves saying, "Maybe I'm overreacting," especially when the adult is respected or everybody else seems comfortable. But one of the most important things we can teach families is this: trust your instincts. If something feels off, ask questions. You do not need proof to pay closer attention. Safety matters more than avoiding awkwardness. That said, we also cannot raise children in fear of every adult because healthy relationships matter too. Kids need safe teachers, coaches, mentors, faith leaders, and caring adults outside the home. The goal is not fear, it is awareness. Some of the best ways to protect children include avoiding unsupervised situations whenever possible, being cautious about adults who push boundaries, knowing who is messaging your child privately, checking apps and social media, encouraging open conversations without shame, teaching children proper body safety and boundaries early, making sure kids know they can always tell you when something feels uncomfortable, and reminding them that safe adults never ask them to keep secrets from parents. Watch for sudden behavior changes, fear around a certain person, withdrawal, anxiety, secretive behavior, gifts appearing unexpectedly, emotional attachment that feels unusually intense, or adults wanting unusual amounts of alone time. And maybe most importantly, teach children that if something feels wrong, weird, uncomfortable, or confusing, they will never be in trouble for telling you. Because sometimes keeping children safe starts with building a home where kids know they will always be believed, listened to, and protected.
John Leninger. Now, I got to call him out on the PA to come out of the house, and he did. Twice. The first time he offered $150 for a 15-year-old girl. The next day came back, offered another $200 if the girl would show up at his house. Now, here's some things that was disturbing. When we were at the house, he had a mannequin in one window on the front. There was another mannequin in another location at a window, and he had police uniforms on these mannequins. Now, his lame excuse was it helps deter crime coming into my house. It's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that he's trying to make the children feel comfortable that are coming into this house. Now, he conveniently did all this when his wife went to work. Remember I said the innocent victims outside of the children involved in this? Obviously, wives have no clues.
One thing people often do not talk about enough is how these situations can create what many call secondary victims, people whose lives are deeply affected even though they were not the direct target of the harmful behavior. When something like this comes to light, the damage rarely stays contained to one person or one household. Wives, husbands, partners, children, parents, siblings, co-workers, employers, close friends, churches, schools, teams, neighborhoods, and entire communities can all experience shock, grief, confusion, betrayal, embarrassment, fear, anger, financial stress, and emotional fallout. For spouses or partners, there can be overwhelming feelings of betrayal, shame, denial, guilt, public judgment, or people asking, "How didn't you know?" even when they may have had no idea something was happening. Children of the accused can suffer bullying, social isolation, confusion, anxiety, depression, damaged trust, or fear about what their future now looks like, especially if they suddenly lose a parent to incarceration, public exposure, divorce, or family breakdown. Employers and coworkers may experience workplace disruption, public backlash, damaged reputation, lost business, safety concerns, or emotional shock if someone they trusted is accused of serious behavior they never expected. Friends and extended family may struggle with disbelief, divided loyalties, denial, grief, anger, or the painful reality of reconciling the person they thought they knew with the accusations or evidence being presented. And on the other side, people surrounding the direct victim are often deeply impacted too. Parents blaming themselves, siblings feeling helpless, grandparents carrying guilt, friends feeling they missed signs, teachers questioning whether something was overlooked, and entire support systems struggling to rebuild trust and safety. None of this means attention should be taken away from the direct victim, because the direct victim always matters first, but it does help explain why these situations can send ripple effects through entire families and communities for years. That is why prevention, early intervention, listening to concerns, reporting warning signs, and creating environments where people feel safe speaking up matters so much, because harmful behavior rarely affects only one life.
Mickey Barber and David Smith. Now, they showed up together wanting to violate a 14-year-old girl. Now, What they didn't realize is they pulled in a parking space literally right next to me. Guess whose smiling face they got to see? Put them in handcuffs. Mr. Smith is already a registered sex offender. John Goodman. His last name is a good man, but he sure enough is not a Goodman. He was trying to meet a 7-year-old. Doesn't make a difference, male or female. 7-year-old. Eric Morin went to Target to pick up a little boy and a little girl for sex. Probably the most disturbing individual out of all of them. Even Mr. Hansen commented on it that he's probably described him as one of the worst that he has ever seen in all of his interactions with these individuals. He wanted to pick up a little boy and a little girl for sex. He told the detectives that he fantasizes about randomly groping kids in a store. Parents, pay attention. Hear what I just said? He fantasizes. If he fantasizes, that means he's probably doing it when your child is in the store with him. Online, he has tried to groom 9-year-olds. He even admitted to detectives that he did violate a 5-year-old girl years ago. And before you ask me the question, yes, the detectives are doing everything they can to try to find that case.
One reason it is so important to pay attention to our surroundings when we are out in public with children, especially in places like grocery stores, department stores, malls, parks, festivals, or crowded events, is because some harmful individuals intentionally use ordinary everyday environments to observe, approach, or identify vulnerable children. Most parents have experienced that quick moment of distraction, unloading groceries, checking prices, looking at a phone, helping another child, waiting in line, or simply feeling safer because there are many people around. But crowded public spaces can sometimes create a false sense of security, and unfortunately, there have been cases where individuals accused of harming children allegedly used common public places to look for opportunities. Cases connected to people like Eric Moran are reminders of why awareness matters and why investigators sometimes examine patterns of behavior, movements, and public locations connected to suspects. That does not mean parents should live in fear every second or assume every stranger is dangerous, because that is neither realistic nor healthy, but it does mean staying aware of who is around your child, noticing adults paying unusual attention to children, teaching kids not to wander, creating check-in plans, keeping younger children close, and trusting your instincts if something feels unusual. Sometimes safety looks simple: staying aware instead of distracted, knowing exits, paying attention to surroundings, teaching children safe boundaries, and remembering that prevention often starts with noticing something before it becomes an emergency.
Now, you've heard me say it numerous times. We have broken systems throughout this United States. And sometimes our judicial system fails us. And here's a couple of them. Mr. Matthew White was just arrested in April in Stuart, Florida, during a child sex predator sting. And he was out on bond. He should not even have a bond, because he was trying to head to meet here to meet a 14-year-old girl to have sex. And I know I'll get it. I get it all the time. You talk about people in prison, it's their first time. They don't deserve to be here. Mr. Sessler was just released from prison after serving 1 year for cocaine. 1 year. He was trying to meet a 14-year-old boy. Now, I've got an award for one. He's getting the Dumas Award. Matthew Salagi. He came here to meet with a 14-year-old girl. You want to know where he agreed to meet? At the Marion County Jail. And he showed up in front of the Marion County Jail. At least he saved me some money. I didn't have to use all that gas to take him far. Big topic in the United States. I know he talks about it quite often. And that is the immigrants, illegals, legals in the United States. that are here, coming here on a regular basis. Sebastian Ortiz, far right, from Colombia, and Alexis from El Salvador. They told detectives that in their country, it is normal for a 13 and a 14-year-old to have intimate relations with an adult. Well, keep your ass in both of those countries and don't come to the United States.
One reason this behavior may be treated differently in some countries comes down to major differences in laws, cultural norms, legal systems, enforcement, age of consent standards, education, internet regulation, and how governments define child protection. In some places, laws are weaker, outdated, poorly enforced, or complicated by poverty, corruption, conflict, lack of resources, or social systems that historically failed to prioritize child safety the same way. In other cases, cultural attitudes toward age, power dynamics, marriage, supervision, or family authority may differ dramatically from what many people in the United States would consider acceptable. That does not automatically mean communities support harm. Many people in those countries are actively fighting for stronger protections, but it can mean legal systems respond differently or move slower. At the same time, the internet has created a worldwide problem where harmful behavior can cross borders instantly, making international cooperation incredibly important because something illegal in one country may be hosted, hidden, or facilitated somewhere with very different laws. In the United States, this behavior is generally not legal or tolerated because the law is built around the idea that children and young teenagers are still developing emotionally, mentally, socially, and neurologically and cannot legally consent to exploitation or manipulation by adults. Federal and state laws are designed to protect minors from grooming, exploitation, trafficking, coercion, abuse, and online enticement, with serious criminal penalties attached. Schools, youth organizations, churches, sports programs, medical providers, and childcare systems also have mandatory reporting rules in many situations, meaning adults are legally required to report suspected harm. While the system is not perfect and cases absolutely still slip through the cracks, there is a strong legal and cultural expectation that adults are supposed to protect children, not exploit their trust, authority, dependence, or vulnerability. That is why these crimes are often viewed so seriously here, because protecting children is considered a public safety issue, a moral responsibility, and something most communities believe should never be normalized or excused. In the end, protecting children is everyone's responsibility. See something, say something, do something, keep kids safe. Awareness, action, protection.
Carl is from the Ukraine. He's trying to meet a 13-year-old girl. Now here's ones that should get your attention. Here's the illegal, Mr. Chavez from Guatemala, 15-year-old boy. Now these three all have ICE detainers. Robert Pham was here on a work visa. People, whether they're here illegally or legally, we need to be doing a better job of vetting individuals coming into the United States, because these are the ones that are coming in and preying in on our children. He was from Egypt, traveled from Orlando to meet a 15-year-old girl.
One thing many people ask after cases like this is, how can local, state, and federal agencies do better at identifying dangerous behavior before harm happens? The truth is, there is no perfect system, but many experts believe prevention could improve through better communication, stronger technology, faster information sharing, and earlier intervention when warning signs appear. Local agencies are often the first to notice concerning behavior because they know their communities, schools, parks, repeat offenders, and local complaints, but they can be overwhelmed by staffing shortages and limited resources. State agencies can help by improving databases, coordinating between counties, funding specialized task forces, increasing cybercrime training, and helping departments share information faster instead of cases getting stuck in separate systems. At the federal level, agencies often have larger technology resources, analysts, national databases, interstate communication tools, and cybercrime specialists who can identify patterns crossing city and state lines. Many people also argue there should be stronger follow-up systems for individuals already convicted of crimes against children, including better monitoring of online activity where legally permitted, improved compliance checks, faster responses to violations, more treatment programs focused on preventing reoffending, and stronger coordination when concerning behavior escalates. Schools, hospitals, counselors, social workers, youth organizations, employers, and community members can also play an important role by reporting concerning patterns instead of dismissing them because someone seems nice, or probably didn't mean anything by it. Some experts support expanding digital forensic training, improving reporting hotlines, strengthening background checks for positions involving children, using behavioral warning systems, increasing internet safety education, and helping families recognize red flags earlier. At the same time, there has to be balance, because public safety matters, but so do privacy, civil rights, due process, and making sure systems focus on evidence and behavior rather than fear or assumptions. In the end, many professionals agree that the strongest protection comes when families, schools, communities, businesses, and all levels of law enforcement work together, share concerns early, and take warning signs seriously before someone becomes a victim. One of the biggest challenges in protecting children today is that harmful behavior does not stop at borders, while laws, databases, reporting systems, and investigations often do. The internet allows people to communicate instantly across countries, use apps hosted overseas, hide identities, move accounts, or operate in places with weaker enforcement. So when people ask, how can we vet better internationally? The answer usually comes down to stronger cooperation, faster information sharing, better technology, and more consistent child protection standards worldwide. Many experts believe countries could improve by strengthening international databases for serious offenders where legally appropriate, improving cooperation between law enforcement agencies across borders, speeding up responses to digital evidence requests, and increasing partnerships between cybercrime units, internet providers, and global organizations focused on child safety. Better vetting for jobs involving children internationally, such as teachers, coaches, missionaries, childcare workers, exchange programs, camps, or volunteer organizations, could also help through stronger background checks, identity verification, reference checks across countries, and improved reporting systems when concerns arise. Some people also support better online monitoring of known high-risk offenders where legally allowed, faster removal of harmful material online, more digital forensic training worldwide, and stronger education for parents about apps, grooming behaviors, secrecy, and online manipulation. At the same time, international vetting becomes complicated because countries have different privacy laws, legal systems, standards of evidence, and civil rights protections, so there has to be balance between public safety and avoiding unfair assumptions or overreach. In the end, many professionals believe the strongest international protection happens when countries stop treating these problems like isolated local issues and instead work together faster, communicate earlier, train better, report concerns immediately, and recognize that protecting children in an online world has become a shared global responsibility.
Marion County School. Pay attention. Those of you that got them in our public school. Now, I give kudos to Superintendent Brewer. She stepped to the plate immediately and took action and did what she could do to get rid of this individual. And that's Shakes. Second grade teacher at Fessenden Elementary. He was here on a work visa on a program that a lot of our school districts use, which is nothing wrong with a program, but you need to vet people. From Jamaica, he was wanting to meet a little boy. And probably the most disturbing thing to me, he's author of children's books. I looked up one of them. All it is a grooming tool for this type of behavior, is all that book is. That gives you a little bit of highlight. I didn't go through all 58, but I'm here to tell you, if you were to see some of the stuff that they gave to my detectives, pictures, photos, what they said they wanted to do, what they were going to do with these children, it should infuriate every single person on this camera. It should infuriate everybody that is watching. Now, I'm going to turn the podium over to the three gentlemen here, and I'm going to allow them to speak because I know they got the same opinion as myself. And I'm again going to tell you this. I appreciate each of them for their staff, for the hard work that their employees do, their troopers, their agents, and the attorneys that are a part of it. And I'm going to turn it over to FDLE Commissioner Glass. Commissioner Glass.
Good morning. My name is Mark Glass. I'm the FDLE Commissioner. And you guys.
At the press conference, Commissioner Mark Glass serves as a major voice in child protection, criminal investigations, and public safety through the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE. In a case like the one discussed in this video, his role goes far beyond standing at a podium and announcing arrests. Commissioner Glass works in a field focused on helping protect communities through criminal investigations, forensic science, intelligence gathering, cybercrime investigations, digital evidence, and coordinating major multi-agency operations designed to identify dangerous behavior before more people are harmed. His work often centers around bringing local police departments, sheriff's offices, cybercrime specialists, prosecutors, forensic teams, state investigators, and federal agencies together so investigations move faster, information does not fall through the cracks, and law enforcement can respond more effectively to growing threats involving technology and online communication. One reason Commissioner Glass's role matters so much in operations like this is because crimes involving children have changed dramatically over the years. Harmful behavior no longer only happens face-to-face, much of it now happens through phones, gaming systems, apps, social media, encrypted messaging, online chat rooms, and digital platforms where investigators have to move quickly to preserve evidence and identify possible risks. That means law enforcement leaders like Mark Glass often oversee efforts involving cybercrime units, digital forensic specialists, undercover operations, intelligence analysts, victim-centered investigations, and large task forces working across counties, cities, and sometimes even state lines. In many cases, investigators are not just trying to solve crimes after harm happens. They are trying to prevent victimization, identify dangerous patterns early, preserve evidence, and intervene before situations escalate further. Commissioner Glass has repeatedly emphasized the importance of protecting children, strengthening partnerships between agencies, improving technology, and making sure investigators have the tools needed to keep pace with how crimes evolve online. Press conferences like the one in this video may last only a few minutes, but what viewers are usually seeing is the public side of months of investigative work happening quietly behind the scenes, long hours reviewing evidence, monitoring digital activity, coordinating arrests, executing warrants, processing devices, and helping build cases that can actually stand up in court. In his field, the goal is not only accountability after arrests are made, but prevention, education, stronger cooperation, and helping create safer communities where children and families are better protected from harm.
You guys have a great sheriff here, and a great chief of police, and a great state attorney. You have the people here that will not tolerate this type of thing in Marion County. I want to tell you that what you're seeing and if it doesn't get you stirred up in your soul, then you need to check yourself. Hearing this type of thing happening in your community, or trying to happen in your community. This is what it is. It's called pure evil. Just like the scripture says, going to and fro like a lion looking for something to devour. These clowns try to be a lion looking for something to devour. Luckily, we got a lion tamer here that was able to grab them and put them in jail before they could devour any more of our children and the innocents. You're very fortunate to have an attorney general of this great state, who I've had the privilege to work for, who goes after this. There's not a daylight between he and I on the way we think about this. I will pull out all the stops of FDLE's criminal justice professionals to support my chiefs of police, our sheriffs, our other state law enforcement agencies, all of our state attorneys, to ensure that we go after these bad actors in your community. The sheriff hit it home and told you what the problem is. This is a reoccurring thing that's happening. To have some yahoo to show up at a jail shows you that they're not right in the head already. And anybody that thinks they can do this to our children and our loved ones like this, they're not right. They're evil. And we should be able to get out there, and it takes the whole community to make sure that you prevent this in your community. Help the sheriffs and the chiefs to prevent this in the community. Help the schools, the superintendents, help them combat this evil scourge on our society.
One thing Commissioner Glass emphasizes, and honestly something many investigators repeat over and over, is that protecting children simply cannot fall only on law enforcement, because by the time police become involved, something concerning has often already happened. That is why he and many others talk about the whole community being involved. Law enforcement officers cannot be in every home, every school, every church, every sports practice, every gaming chat, every app, every grocery store, or every neighborhood all at once. Teachers may notice behavior changes in a child before anyone else. Coaches may notice withdrawal, fear, bruises, inappropriate behavior, or concerning interactions. School counselors may hear things children are too scared to tell anyone at home. Doctors and nurses may recognize warning signs during routine visits. Parents may notice secrecy, online behavior changes, hidden accounts, or unsafe adults paying unusual attention. Hotel workers, store employees, rideshare drivers, church staff, neighbors, relatives, babysitters, and community members sometimes notice things that feel off long before a case ever reaches investigators. And many times, the difference between harm continuing and harm being stopped comes down to whether somebody trusted their instincts enough to say something. Commissioner Glass's point is often that child protection works best when communities stop assuming someone else will handle it, and instead recognize that safety is shared responsibility. That does not mean accusing people unfairly or living in fear of everyone. It means paying attention to behavior, respecting boundaries, taking concerns seriously, teaching children body safety and internet safety, reporting suspicious situations, and creating environments where children feel safe speaking up without fear of punishment or shame. Communities become stronger when schools, families, businesses, faith groups, youth organizations, healthcare workers, and law enforcement communicate instead of operating separately. In many cases, one small observation from an ordinary person, something that seems strange, uncomfortable, or concerning, becomes the piece that helps investigators protect a child or prevent harm from escalating. That is why Commissioner Glass and others say it takes the whole community, because protecting children works best when awareness, communication, prevention, and action happen together instead of after tragedy strikes.
Tools that you have. Parents, I want to speak to you. And you hear the Attorney General talk about his thing going against roadblocks, having your children having the capability to just do stuff online and you're not paying attention. These yahoos right here, they're even more sophisticated ones that get on there and talk through voiceover to make it sound like they're a child to recruit them off these websites and these gaming platforms.
One thing Commissioner Glass often emphasizes is that protecting children today requires using both technology tools and human awareness tools, because harmful behavior has changed with the internet. Law enforcement now relies heavily on cybercrime units, digital forensic software, undercover online investigations, evidence recovery tools, databases, and partnerships between local, state, and federal agencies to identify risks before harm escalates. Investigators may use digital forensic tools to recover deleted messages, trace online activity, preserve evidence from phones or computers, analyze communication patterns, connect usernames across platforms, and monitor legally authorized information tied to investigations. Agencies also work with organizations focused on missing and exploited children, online safety, victim identification, and internet reporting systems. But Commissioner Glass's larger message is often that technology alone is not enough, communities matter too. A phone app cannot replace a parent paying attention. A database cannot replace a teacher noticing behavior changes. A police department cannot be everywhere at once. For parents and families, there are many practical tools and resources available that can genuinely help keep children safer both online and offline. Parents can use parental control apps, screen time settings, location sharing tools, when age-appropriate, privacy settings, content filters, and family safety tools built into phones, tablets, gaming systems, and social media accounts. Many experts also recommend learning the apps your child uses, knowing usernames, keeping younger children's devices in shared spaces when possible, checking privacy settings together, and having calm conversations about internet safety rather than only reacting after something goes wrong. Teaching children about boundaries, secrets, online manipulation, unsafe requests, and how to report uncomfortable situations can often be just as important as any technology tool. There are also important organizations and resources families can use if concerns arise. If a child is in immediate danger, call 911. To report suspected child abuse or get help finding resources in your area, families can contact the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline, 1-800-422-4453, call or text 24/7. For concerns involving online exploitation, harmful communication, or inappropriate online behavior involving minors, reports can be made to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, Cyber Tipline, or by calling 1-800-BUT-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Families looking for emotional support, counseling, or help processing difficult situations can also contact RAINN's National Sexual Assault Hotline, 800-656-POPE, 4673. Schools, pediatricians, counselors, churches, youth organizations, and local advocacy centers can also be valuable resources. And honestly, one of the strongest tools parents still have is something simple: creating a home where children know they can talk openly, ask uncomfortable questions, admit mistakes, and come forward without fear of shame or punishment if something feels wrong.
You didn't know what's going on in your house. And I'm going to give you some resources. Come to the FDLE website, and we will give you a ton of resources there to help you combat this in your own home, in your own neighborhood, in your own community. Don't be afraid to shout it out. If it's wrong or seems wrong, let somebody know. Let one of the sheriff's deputies or the chief's police officers know about it. When in doubt, shout it out. You have the opportunity to prevent another one of our loved ones from being scourged with this type of behavior. Ladies and gentlemen, we put it back to you at the same time. Thank you for you voting these folks in office, because they're the ones fighting this great fight. And thank you for doing your part in the community, but we can excel still more. Remember that. We can all excel still more. Thank you.
Artificial intelligence, AI, is becoming one of the biggest double-edged swords in child protection cases because, honestly, it can both help investigators protect children and also be misused by harmful people to hide behavior, manipulate victims, or avoid detection. On the harmful side, AI can make exploitation more difficult to investigate because people can now create fake identities, believable fake photos, fake voices, altered videos, or convincing online personas much faster than before. Harmful individuals may use AI chat tools to help write manipulative messages, translate conversations across countries, hide language patterns, avoid detection words, or create fake profiles that look more believable to children online. AI-generated deepfake technology can also create fake images, impersonate trusted people, mimic voices, or be used in cyberbullying, coercion, scams, or inappropriate manipulation. Investigators also worry about encrypted platforms, anonymous apps, AI-generated fake locations, bots, and the speed at which harmful material can spread online, sometimes across multiple countries in minutes. Because technology moves so fast, law enforcement constantly has to adapt and learn new ways to identify risks, preserve evidence, and understand evolving online behavior. But on the other side, and this part is incredibly important, AI is also becoming one of the strongest tools investigators have for protecting children and identifying harmful behavior faster. Cybercrime investigators may use AI-assisted tools to analyze enormous amounts of digital evidence, flag concerning communication patterns, identify repeat usernames, connect cases across jurisdictions, recognize grooming behavior patterns, trace timelines, detect suspicious online activity, and process huge amounts of data far faster than humans alone ever could. AI can help locate missing children faster by analyzing photos, locations, backgrounds, travel patterns, metadata, or public tips. Some technology can help identify hidden victims, remove harmful material faster, recognize repeated patterns tied to known offenders, or alert platforms to concerning behavior before it escalates. Online safety organizations, digital forensic teams, and national agencies increasingly use advanced technology to help investigators prioritize the most urgent threats and identify children who may need help sooner. At the end of the day, most experts would probably say AI itself is not good or bad. It depends on who is using it and why. Just like phones, cars, or the internet itself, powerful tools can be used to protect people or to cause harm. That is why education, digital awareness, ethical safeguards, stronger reporting systems, parent involvement, technology oversight, and updated laws matter so much. The biggest challenge right now is making sure the people trying to protect children can move just as fast, or faster, than the people trying to misuse new technology. In many ways, the future of child safety will likely involve a balance between smart technology, human judgment, strong laws, informed parents, and communities willing to pay attention before harm happens.
Thank you, Commissioner. And now I'll turn it over to FHP Colonel, Colonel Houch.
Thank you, Sheriff. I want to begin by thanking Attorney General Othmeyer for his leadership on issues that impact the safety and the well-being of every Floridian and visitor to our beautiful state. This operation reflects exactly the kind of coordinated, multi-agency effort that makes Florida a difficult place for criminal predators to operate. Your state troopers were proud to support with our aviation assets in this operation, working alongside Attorney General's office, our Commissioner Glass's folks, his FDLE agents and analysts, Chief Billy Woods and your deputies at the Marion County Sheriff's Office, Chief Balkin with the Ocala Police Department and his officers, all to protect Florida's children. Florida's law enforcement shares a common mission, and that manifests itself in agencies cooperating and communicating with each other, sharing data and technology, intelligence, and especially resources. It doesn't happen everywhere in this country, and it doesn't happen by coincidence. It happens in Florida, though. It happens here in Florida because of our 67 sheriffs, our police chiefs, my peers, and state law enforcement working together as resource multipliers. This is especially the case when empowered by strong leadership such as General Othmeyer, our Governor Ron DeSantis, our Florida Cabinet, my boss, Director Kerner, and our elected individuals that represent the citizens of the free state of Florida. Those seeking
One thing leaders in major child protection operations often emphasize, including the Colonel at press conferences like this, is that strong leadership and strong relationships between agencies are not just helpful, they are absolutely necessary if communities want to protect children effectively. Crimes involving children, online exploitation, trafficking, missing children, and digital investigations are often too large and too complicated for any one department to handle alone. A local police department may know the family, and digital investigations are often too large and too complicated for any one department to handle alone. A local police department may know the families, neighborhoods, schools, repeat concerns, and local history, but they may not have advanced cybercrime units, digital forensic technology, intelligence analysts, or the manpower needed to investigate large-scale online behavior. State agencies may bring databases, coordination between counties, specialized investigators, forensic labs, training, and larger task forces. Federal agencies may help when cases cross state lines, involve internet crimes, larger criminal networks, financial tracking, encrypted communication, or technology platforms operating across jurisdictions. But none of that works well if agencies are competing, refusing to share information, or working in separate silos. Strong working relationships matter because protecting children often depends on one agency quickly sharing something important before harm escalates. Strong leadership matters just as much because large operations involving children are incredibly complicated and emotionally difficult. Someone has to coordinate communication, resources, warrants, timelines, investigators, prosecutors, victim specialists, cyber teams, forensic experts, and public safety decisions, often all at once. Good leadership helps agencies work together instead of against one another, keeps investigations focused, improves communication, and helps make sure warning signs are not missed because of confusion, ego, politics, or poor coordination. In many child protection cases, investigators are racing against time, especially when online communication is involved or when a child may already be vulnerable. Strong leaders help create trust between departments so people pick up the phone, share intelligence quickly, ask for help without hesitation, and move faster when something dangerous appears. And honestly, this matters for communities too, because when agencies build strong partnerships before a crisis happens, they are often better prepared when a child needs help. Schools, hospitals, advocacy centers, prosecutors, nonprofits, cybercrime units, police departments, sheriff's offices, internet crimes task forces, and federal partners all become stronger when they know how to work together ahead of time instead of trying to figure it out during an emergency. The truth is, no single agency realistically has every tool, every expert, every database, every legal authority, or every resource needed to protect children in today's digital world by itself. But when strong leadership, trust, communication, training, and cooperation come together, trust, communication, training, and cooperation come together, communities are often much better positioned to identify risks early, intervene faster, stop harmful behavior sooner, and ultimately protect children before tragedy ever happens.
seeking to victimize kids will
I told you guys it might freeze. I added this new desktop thing to my computer. There it is. Hold on a minute. It's an easy fix. And it keeps doing this ever since I did. I know where I was. Give me 1 minute here. $15.50. All right, I apologize.
We have to bear on them. Put them in jail, escort them to face Florida justice and their criminal acts. And behind every badge, I'm going to share this, and it seems like common sense, but it's worth saying. Behind every badge of a law enforcement officer is a heartbeat. As the sheriff said, it's the heartbeat of a father, a mother, an aunt, an uncle, a sibling. But rest assured, that police officer's heartbeat will not turn a blind eye to anyone seeking to harm children in this state. In Florida, you often hear cops say, it's not personal. The reality is, in cases like this, it's very personal to us. And we will not stand for predators preying on our children. Again, thank you, General Othmeyer. Thank you, Sheriff Woods, for allowing me to speak and represent your Florida Highway Patrol. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Colonel. Now I'll turn it over to our Attorney General, General Uthman.
It's an honor to be here in Marion County and support these guys standing behind me. Florida is the safest state in the country to raise a family, and it's because of the hard work of these men and women. We've got the best.
One of the most important people in major child protection cases is often the Attorney General, and honestly, I think many people misunderstand just how important that role really is. Most people see the arrests, the handcuffs, the press conference, and the officers standing in front of cameras, but what many do not realize is that arrests alone do not protect children long-term if cases fall apart in court. Investigators can spend months building cases, collecting evidence, preserving messages, tracing accounts, recovering deleted information, coordinating surveillance, and identifying harmful behavior, but if the legal side is not built correctly, cases can weaken fast. That is where the Attorney General becomes incredibly important. The Attorney General's office helps make sure investigations are legally strong, evidence is handled correctly, warrants are written properly, digital evidence can hold up in court, and charges are built in a way that gives prosecutors the strongest chance of holding dangerous people accountable. In many ways, investigators may find the problem, but the Attorney General helps make sure the problem actually stays off the street. Before major operations even happen, the Attorney General's office is often involved much earlier than people realize. Child exploitation cases are some of the most legally complicated investigations law enforcement deals with because they often involve phones, apps, gaming platforms, social media, cloud storage, digital evidence, hidden accounts, financial records, deleted messages, interstate communication, internet providers, and constantly changing technology. One wrong legal step can hurt an entire case later. That means the Attorney General's office may already be helping investigators understand what warrants are needed, how digital evidence must be preserved, which laws apply, how to coordinate with federal partners, what charges fit the evidence, and how to legally move investigations forward without creating mistakes defense attorneys can later attack. They may help support cybercrime units, internet crimes task forces, victim specialists, statewide operations, prosecutor training, and legal strategy long before a single arrest happens. During an operation, the Attorney General's role often becomes even more important because timing matters. Investigators may be working quickly to identify risks, preserve evidence before it disappears, obtain emergency warrants, review digital communication, and decide when enough evidence exists to move safely and legally. The Attorney General's office often works alongside investigators and prosecutors, helping determine appropriate charges, strengthening probable cause, coordinating legal decisions, and helping make sure cases are built carefully instead of rushed. In crimes involving children, especially online behavior, law enforcement is often racing against time because harmful behavior can escalate quickly and digital evidence can disappear just as fast. Good legal leadership helps make sure investigators are aggressive when they need to be, but careful enough that cases stay strong. After arrests happen is where the Attorney General may become one of the most important people in the entire process, because this is where accountability actually begins. Arrests make headlines, convictions protect communities. Prosecutors and legal teams may spend months reviewing evidence, preparing witnesses, responding to defense arguments, protecting digital evidence from legal challenges, organizing timelines, working with victim advocates, and making sure cases survive motions, hearings, and appeals. Defense attorneys may challenge warrants, digital evidence, timelines, intent, search procedures, or how evidence was collected. The Attorney General's office helps make sure cases are strong enough to withstand those challenges, so dangerous individuals cannot simply walk away because of legal mistakes. In the end, the Attorney General's job is not just about filing charges. It is about helping build cases strong enough to hold people accountable, protect children, strengthen communities, and make sure the work investigators spent months doing actually results in justice that lasts.
Best law enforcement in the country. They put their lives Best law enforcement in the country. They put their lives on the line every single day to protect our families. Here today, it's a shame that we have to announce such a big number, but I'm glad we got all these guys. Marion County does it better than almost anybody in the country, and I've invited other teams from other states to come down and learn the ropes, learn the tools, figure out how we can stay one step ahead of these horrific evildoers. We're going to fight day and night. You know, here in Florida, parents should rest assured that somewhere in the state, we have undercover officers working every single day of the year to catch these dangerous predators. But parents at home, you are the first line of defense. Just look at some of the examples from these criminals that were taken down. You've got a naval officer from Jacksonville, a guy that owns a bouncy house company, a second grade teacher, several illegal aliens. Danger is everywhere. You've got to be protecting your kids. If you do not know who they are home alone with, or who they are alone with out at school or church or wherever, you need to think again. This could strike from anywhere. Just recently in Polk County, we took down a guy who'd been the Santa Claus every year for many years. It's sad that we live in a day and age where we've got to question the Santa Claus at the mall, but that is the hard truth. So parents, wake up, be defensive, and protect your kids. You are the first line of defense. Here in Florida, we're taking down predators like never before. Since I've been in office, it's been a record, a little over a year. Here today, this makes nearly 1,700 child predators arrested since I've been in office. Our statewide prosecutions are up over 50%, human trafficking convictions up over 30%. Up over 30%. As the sheriff said, you've got an outstanding state attorney in Bill Gladson here, and he and our statewide prosecutors, we will be prosecuting to the fullest on every single one of these cases. Where you have
One thing the Attorney General often points to is that crime in Florida has been trending downward, and when he talks about crime numbers being among the lowest in decades, he is pointing to a real pattern the state has been highlighting for years. But it is also important to understand the bigger picture and what changed before and after he took office. Florida's own law enforcement reporting has shown major crime reductions over time. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE, reported that total crime volume dropped 14.1% between 2019 and 2020, followed by another 8.3% drop between 2020 and 2021, with officials describing crime as reaching a roughly 50-year low. More recent reporting has continued showing decreases in violent crime and property crime statewide. At the same time, it is important to be fair and honest about what those numbers mean. Florida's crime decline did not suddenly begin with one person taking office. The state had already been seeing long-term decreases in many categories before the current Attorney General came in. But what supporters of his office argue is different now is the emphasis and visibility placed on crimes against children, online exploitation, trafficking investigations, and internet predators. Instead of quietly handling many of these cases behind the scenes, Florida has increasingly leaned into large multi-agency operations, cybercrime task forces, statewide partnerships, press conferences, and public messaging designed to warn offenders that law enforcement is actively looking for them. FDLE, Internet Crimes Against Children, ICAC, task forces, Homeland Security, sheriff's offices, prosecutors, and federal partners are often publicly standing together to show that child protection is being treated like a top public safety issue. And honestly, I think one of the biggest reasons these press conferences matter is because they are doing more than announcing arrests. They are sending a message. Publicly showing investigations, explaining how people were identified, discussing online behavior, and putting faces to arrests creates deterrence. Does every harmful person stop because of a press conference? No, but many experts believe visibility matters because people are more likely to think twice when they know cybercrime units, undercover investigators, digital forensic teams, and prosecutors are actively working together and preserving evidence that can follow someone for years. The message becomes, you are not anonymous online, and if you target children, agencies are increasingly sharing information and coming for you. National ICAC task forces alone conducted more than 203,000 investigations in FY 2024 and helped lead to over 12,600 arrests, showing how aggressive internet child exploitation enforcement has become. Another reason Florida's approach gets attention is because these press conferences also educate parents and communities. They explain how online communication works, how investigators identify dangerous behavior, what warning signs exist, how digital evidence is preserved, and why reporting concerns matters. Many families still do not fully understand how quickly harmful behavior can happen online through gaming systems, messaging apps, social media, live streams, disappearing chats, or fake identities. When state leaders repeatedly stand in front of cameras talking about prevention, cybercrime, online risks, and community awareness, it keeps the conversation active instead of pretending the problem does not exist. Awareness alone will never stop every crime, but silence definitely does not help. That said, there also has to be balance. Public accountability is important, but so is due process. Arrests are allegations until proven in court, and strong cases still matter. The goal should never be public embarrassment for the sake of headlines. The goal is protecting children, preventing future harm, helping victims feel seen, and making sure dangerous behavior is taken seriously. But I do think there is something powerful about states refusing to hide these crimes in the shadows. When communities repeatedly hear, "We are watching," "We are investigating," "We are working together," and targeting children will have consequences, that pressure alone may stop some people before harm ever happens. In many ways, what Florida is showing is a model other states should at least pay attention to. Strong partnerships between agencies, cybercrime training, prosecutors involved early, statewide coordination, public education, fast reporting systems, and repeated emphasis that crimes against children are not going to be ignored. No system will ever be perfect. But when law enforcement, prosecutors, schools, businesses, parents, and communities work together, and when the state makes child protection a visible priority instead of a quiet afterthought, communities often become harder places for harmful people to operate. That matters because protecting children is not only about reacting after tragedy happens. It is also about prevention, awareness, pressure, education, and making sure potential offenders know somebody is paying attention.
Have a father trying to sell his 7-year-old child for sex. I'm a Christian man. I will pray for that individual. I will pray for healing. But that is messed up. He needs to be looking at the deep, dark, cold corner of a jail cell for the rest of his life. Mark my words, we will prosecute every one of these cases to the fullest. We will keep these people away from our families, away from our kids for absolutely as long as possible. And please, again, you've heard me say this many times, exercise caution with social media. A lot of these cases originate online. A lot of predators are using the emergence of social media applications like TikTok, Snapchat, Discord, and others to pretend to be adults, to deceive children, and to find their way into your homes. It's no.
Honestly, this is probably one of the biggest reminders for parents today. Things online can change incredibly fast, and sometimes just a few minutes of paying attention can make a major difference. Most parents are busy, work, bills, stress, school, sports, life, and nobody can watch everything every second. But the reality is that phones, gaming systems, apps, live streams, private messaging, disappearing chats, and social media create opportunities for unsafe conversations, pressure, manipulation, or harmful behavior to happen much quicker than many families realize. That does not mean living in fear or hovering over children every second, because trust matters too. But it does mean staying involved. Know what apps your child uses. Know usernames. Know who they are talking to online. Pay attention to sudden secrecy, hidden accounts, unusual online friendships, or behavior that suddenly feels different. Sometimes children do not fully understand risk, manipulation, or how quickly an uncomfortable situation can escalate online. And maybe most importantly, parents should remember this. You do not have to do this alone. There are tools available, settings already built into devices, safety resources, and organizations designed to help families navigate a digital world that honestly changes faster than most adults can keep up with. Calm conversations matter. Open communication matters. Teaching children they can come to you without fear of being screamed at or immediately punished matters. If something feels off, ask questions early. If a child seems uncomfortable, withdrawn, secretive, or suddenly protective of devices, pay attention. Trust your instincts. Many times, prevention starts with something small, noticing a change, checking in, using the tools available, and creating a home where children know their safety matters more than getting in trouble. Some of the tools and resources parents can use include parental control apps, screen time settings, privacy settings, content filters, location sharing tools, when age appropriate, and family safety settings built into phones, tablets, gaming systems, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Discord, Roblox, and other platforms children commonly use. Parents can also monitor friend requests, review privacy settings together, keep younger children's devices in shared family spaces, use safe search settings, learn gaming chat features, and regularly check usernames and account activity. Families can also use trusted resources like the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline, 1-800-422-4453, NCMEX Cyber Tip Line, 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678, for online concerns involving minors, school counselors, pediatricians, therapists, youth organizations, and local advocacy centers. Sometimes the strongest safety tool is still something simple: staying involved, paying attention, and making sure children know they can always come talk to you when something feels wrong.
No longer a white van driving around the neighborhood. That would almost be easier. It'd be easier for us to detect. Today it's happening on screens, on cell phones, on computers, on the privacy of your children's bedrooms. So if you don't yet know what your kids are doing on those phones, on those computers, please figure it out. I want to thank everybody, the investigators that worked on this. This is tough work. Having to look at child pornography, having to go through these conversations with such gruesome individuals, that'll wear you down. So I hope you guys will get a little time off, take a vacation. Sheriff, I'm promising that to him here. You got to get out, clear your head a little bit. This is tough work, people. This is hard. But it is preventing people from being abused. It is saving lives. So God bless the work you do.
One thing I think many people underestimate is just how incredibly hard this work actually is for law enforcement agencies, cybercrime investigators, victim advocates, prosecutors, forensic specialists, and child protection teams. Online exploitation and trafficking cases are not simple investigations where someone commits a crime and officers immediately know who did it. Many times, investigators are dealing with fake names, encrypted apps, disappearing messages, hidden accounts, fake locations, anonymous usernames, private gaming chats, overseas servers, false identities, and digital evidence spread across phones, tablets, social media, cloud storage, and multiple platforms all at once. Some harmful people intentionally move between apps, use coded language, hide behind fake profiles, or communicate across state and even country lines to avoid detection. Investigators may spend weeks or months reviewing digital evidence, tracing timelines, preserving deleted material, identifying patterns, coordinating with prosecutors, working with technology companies, analyzing tips, and trying to determine whether a child may be at risk before harm gets worse. These investigations can also be emotionally exhausting because many professionals involved see heartbreaking situations regularly while trying to balance speed, accuracy, victim safety, legal requirements, and making sure cases are strong enough to hold up in court. That is why these agencies often say protecting children takes time, resources, technology, teamwork, and patience, because stopping harmful behavior online is far more complicated than many people realize. That is also why parents, schools, businesses, teachers, neighbors, coaches, doctors, and everyday people matter so much in helping protect children. The truth is, law enforcement cannot be everywhere at once. Officers cannot see every gaming chat, every app, every private message, every classroom, every sports practice, every sleepover, every neighborhood, or every social media interaction happening every minute of every day. Many times, warning signs are first noticed by ordinary people long before a case ever reaches investigators. A parent may notice secrecy, hidden accounts, sudden mood changes, unusual online friendships, expensive gifts, inappropriate conversations, or behavior that suddenly feels different. Teachers may notice withdrawal, fear, emotional distress, or concerning changes in behavior. Friends may hear something uncomfortable. Store workers, hotel employees, healthcare workers, youth leaders, and community members sometimes notice situations that simply do not feel right. And honestly, one of the biggest reasons harmful behavior continues is because people sometimes talk themselves out of saying something. Maybe I'm overreacting, it's probably nothing, or someone else will handle it. But sometimes one small concern shared early becomes the exact thing that helps investigators protect a child before harm escalates. So how do normal everyday people actually help law enforcement in this fight? First, pay attention. Know what apps children are using. Learn how gaming chats work. Notice behavior changes. Teach children boundaries, online safety, and that they can always come to you without fear or shame. Use privacy settings, parental controls, content filters, and family safety settings already built into devices. Report concerning behavior instead of ignoring it. Save screenshots when something feels wrong. Document usernames, messages, or unusual interactions if appropriate. Support children when they speak up. Encourage schools and youth organizations to teach internet safety. Use trusted reporting systems like 911 in emergencies, the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline, 1-800-422-4453, or NCMEC's Cyber Tip Line, 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678, for online concerns involving minors. And maybe most importantly, keep the conversation open. Children who feel safe talking to trusted adults are often far more likely to speak up early. At the end of the day, protecting children online is not only law enforcement's responsibility, it really does take parents, families, schools, businesses, communities, and ordinary people all working together, paying attention, speaking up, and refusing to ignore warning signs when something feels wrong.
The troopers, they utter fear out of you driving around on the roads, but they're in the air too. We had some aerial reconnaissance. I know Sergeant Torres is here. They got their eyes on you everywhere. So thank you for the work that you guys do. And FDLE, bringing new technology, helping us with our cybercrime efforts, staying one step ahead of criminals that are always looking for new ways to commit crimes. Thanks for the work you guys do.
One of the technologies people hear about more and more in child exploitation, trafficking, and missing child cases is facial recognition technology. And honestly, many people do not fully realize how important it can be in helping investigators move faster during time-sensitive investigations. Facial recognition is a tool that helps investigators compare images or videos, photographs in legally available databases to try to identify a person, location, or connection that otherwise may have been missed. For example, if investigators recover surveillance footage from a store, hotel, airport, gaming meetup, online image, trafficking investigation, or missing child case, facial recognition software may help compare faces to driver's license photos, booking photos, missing persons databases, or other legally available records depending on the laws and circumstances involved. In child protection cases, this can sometimes help investigators identify suspects faster, locate missing children, connect people traveling together, recognize repeat offenders, or identify patterns across multiple cases. It can also help when images are blurry, older, partially hidden, low quality, or spread across different locations and timelines. In some situations, investigators may use it to compare surveillance footage, social media images, hotel cameras, airport footage, public cameras, or digital evidence recovered during investigations to look for possible matches that could move a case forward faster. That said, agencies generally still treat facial recognition as an investigative lead rather than automatic proof, because human investigators still have to confirm identities, timelines, evidence, and context carefully. Technology may point investigators in a direction, but real people still have to review evidence, verify identities, rule out mistakes, compare timelines, and make sure legal standards are met. What makes facial recognition so important in child safety investigations is that time matters, sometimes every minute matters. If technology helps investigators identify a suspect faster, locate a vulnerable child sooner, connect related cases, or uncover a pattern that may have otherwise been missed, it can become one of many valuable tools helping law enforcement protect children and intervene before harm escalates further. FDLE and many modern law enforcement agencies also use a growing list of advanced technologies that most people never even realize are working quietly behind the scenes. In child exploitation and trafficking investigations, agencies may use digital forensic software to recover deleted messages, photos, videos, internet history, hidden files, app activity, and cloud-based evidence from phones, computers, tablets, gaming systems, and storage devices. Investigators can analyze communication patterns, trace usernames across platforms, map timelines, review financial activity connected to exploitation, preserve disappearing chats, and identify networks operating across cities or even countries. Cybercrime teams also increasingly use AI-assisted technology, metadata analysis, geolocation tools, encrypted evidence review systems, internet monitoring tools, cyber tip databases, dark web investigations, victim identification technology, and advanced forensic labs designed to process massive amounts of digital evidence much faster than humans alone ever could. In some cases, even tiny details, reflections in photos, hotel furniture, license plates, room layouts, backgrounds, timestamps, Wi-Fi signals, or travel records, can help investigators connect cases and identify risks faster. What helps agencies like FDLE stay ahead is that technology keeps evolving, but so do investigators. Child exploitation and trafficking cases move quickly online, so agencies increasingly invest in cybercrime task forces, digital forensic specialists, undercover online investigators, advanced training, interstate partnerships, federal coordination, internet crimes against children, ICAC programs, and real-time information sharing between agencies. FDLE often works alongside local police, sheriff's offices, Homeland Security, FBI cyber teams, prosecutors, NCMEC, internet providers, and national databases so information does not stay trapped in one office or county. The reality is that harmful people adapt quickly, changing apps, hiding identities, moving platforms, using fake profiles, encryption, or overseas services. So law enforcement has to adapt just as fast. That is why staying ahead often comes down to a mix of better technology, smarter training, faster information sharing, stronger partnerships, and everyday people reporting concerns early, because sometimes the smallest tip combined with the right technology becomes the key piece that helps protect a child before harm escalates. One of the technologies mentioned more often in major child protection and trafficking investigations today is aerial technology, and honestly, many people do not fully realize how important it can be in helping investigators move faster and cover more ground during time-sensitive cases. When law enforcement talks about aerial support, they are often referring to helicopters, fixed-wing aircraft, drones, infrared imaging, thermal cameras, mapping systems, real-time surveillance tools, and advanced aviation technology that can help investigators search areas much faster than officers on the ground alone ever could. In child exploitation, trafficking, missing child, abduction, or large-scale criminal investigations, time matters, sometimes every single minute matters. Aerial technology can help investigators search woods, neighborhoods, highways, remote areas, parks, waterways, hotels, campgrounds, abandoned properties, border routes, or large areas where a child or suspect may have traveled. Thermal imaging can sometimes help detect body heat in darkness, wooded areas, rural locations, or difficult terrain where visibility is poor. Drones may allow investigators to quickly document scenes, map locations, identify movement patterns, monitor large operations, or safely search dangerous areas without putting officers immediately at risk. Aviation units can also help coordinate large multi-agency operations from above, follow suspect vehicles when legally authorized, identify escape routes, support search warrants, monitor trafficking corridors, assist missing child searches, and provide real-time information to officers on the ground so teams move faster and smarter. In some situations, aerial imaging and mapping technology may even help connect timelines, verify witness statements, track travel patterns, or identify locations that would have otherwise taken days to search manually. What makes this technology so important is not that it replaces investigators, it helps them work more efficiently when time is critical. In child safety cases especially, agencies often say the faster information moves, the better the chance of protecting a child, locating someone vulnerable, preserving evidence, or preventing harm from escalating further. That is why aerial technology has become such a valuable tool in modern investigations, because sometimes seeing the bigger picture from above helps investigators find the one detail that changes everything.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to serve as Attorney General. We've got record crime lows in Florida for a reason. It's because we're taking down bad guys and we're putting them away for a long time. If you like leniency, you want to let people go early, I'm not your guy. All right. See you guys.
Thank you, General. Appreciate that. Before I go to questions, if there are any, I want to personally thank every trooper, every officer, every agent, every attorney that was part of this. Although there's a small group of them standing up here, these are the individuals that do the hard work. And the General hit the nail on the head. It takes a toll when you have to deal with this, because some of them are fathers, some of them are mothers. There's more sitting in the audience behind the cameras back here. The dedication in which it makes me so proud to be in law enforcement for 36 years myself, of knowing individuals like this will continue the fight, continue the fight to put these individuals behind bars. And I'll conclude with this, is if anyone watching, if you think that evil, the devil himself, is asleep, taking a nap, or goes on vacation, you are utterly wrong. He never stops. And that is why the job in which we do, our resolve must never waver. Simple as that. I'll open up the floor to questions.
This operation raised any specific concerns on platforms which people are using? I'm thinking about a specific obscure site like
So when it comes, it's almost like narcotics. Okay, let me give you a quick example. You know, when legislation, we identify, law enforcement identify a particular drug that needs to be put on the schedule. Okay. The bad people out here will then change the ingredient, and then it doesn't meet statute, and then we can't charge them. It's no different with these chat apps, chat places you go. Here's the truth in regards to those. It doesn't make a difference. Heck, it could be the Xbox when they're playing a game online, chatting with whoever it is. There's the window. Doesn't make a difference. You know, is it surprising? No, it's not surprising. I've been doing this too long to say that it's surprising. But they come up with it. What's in your hand is probably the most evil thing that's ever been created on this earth. Technology.
The first questions reporters asked during the press conference was actually really important because it gets at something many parents are wondering right now. What apps, websites, or online platforms are these people using to target children? The media wanted to know whether investigators were seeing any specific trends, certain apps, hidden sites, gaming platforms, or messaging systems repeatedly showing up in these cases. And honestly, I think that is a fair question because most parents want to know where the danger is so they can better protect their kids. But the sheriff's answer was interesting because instead of naming one specific app or blaming one platform, he basically explained that harmful people are constantly adapting. In simple terms, what he was saying is, the second law enforcement starts catching on to one app, platform, or way people are communicating, many offenders simply move somewhere else. He compared it to how illegal drugs sometimes change formulas to avoid laws and detection. His point was that online behavior works the same way. People looking to exploit children often move between apps, private chats, gaming systems, encrypted messaging, disappearing messages, fake accounts, or newer platforms that many parents may have never even heard of yet. And honestly, I think there is an important lesson in that for parents. The message was not really, be scared of one app. The bigger message was, pay attention to all online activity because technology changes fast. Today it might be one gaming platform, tomorrow it might be a new social media app, a private messaging feature, or something hidden inside a game kids are already using. That is why investigators say awareness matters so much. Know the apps your kids use. Learn how chats work. Watch for secrecy, hidden accounts, sudden behavior changes, or online friendships that feel unusual. Because what the sheriff seemed to be saying is that protecting children online is not about fearing one platform. It is about staying involved as technology constantly changes.
Technology, the internet. It's good, don't get me wrong. It has its benefits and we use it. But it's there.
Sheriff, at this time of these 58, how many of these guys are still sitting in jail right now as we
I hope all 58 of them are, but I do not know the answer to that question. So I'm going to turn to Lieutenant. Do you want one of them or somebody give some charges that some of them have? Lytle?
Sure. You say your name and your title.
Sergeant Lytle. So a lot of the charges that we're looking for as the physical travelers is travel to meet a minor, but you also have additional charges like soliciting a child. So usually the offender will solicit a child, then travel. There's also a slew of internet charges that we can charge if they're sending pornography or soliciting photographs from a juvenile. There's additional charges. Also, several of these offenders are facing sex trafficking or human trafficking charges as well. John.
One thing many people may not fully understand after major child protection operations like this is that arrests are often only the very beginning of what can become an extremely serious legal process. In Florida, people arrested in operations involving alleged attempts to meet minors, online solicitation, exploitation, trafficking-related behavior, or harmful communication with children can face a wide range of criminal charges depending on the evidence investigators uncover. Some individuals may be accused of using computers or phones to solicit a child, traveling to meet a minor for unlawful activity, sending harmful material to minors, attempting sexual activity with someone they believed was underage, online enticement, or in more serious cases, human trafficking or child exploitation-related charges if evidence supports it. And what many people do not realize is that investigators are often looking at much more than one conversation. They may review deleted messages, travel records, hotel reservations, phones, cloud accounts, social media, financial records, hidden apps, usernames, search history, photos, videos, prior reports, communication patterns, and whether there may be additional victims. In many investigations, what begins as one charge during an operation can sometimes grow if more evidence is uncovered later. The prison consequences in cases like these can also be extremely serious. Depending on the exact charge, prior criminal history, aggravating factors, age involved, travel, digital evidence, or whether prosecutors believe someone attempted to actually meet a child, penalties can range from years in prison to decades behind bars. Some offenses in Florida involving child exploitation, solicitation, trafficking, or repeated offenses can carry significant felony penalties, long probation periods, mandatory supervision, internet restrictions, limitations on where someone can live or work, and lifelong monitoring requirements. Prosecutors may also seek additional penalties if there are aggravating circumstances, repeat behavior, multiple alleged victims, or evidence showing planning, coercion, manipulation, or movement across county or state lines. In some situations, cases may even involve federal agencies if online communication crossed state lines, involved interstate systems, or tied into broader exploitation investigations. What investigators, prosecutors, and agencies often emphasize is that these are not cases they take lightly. because once children are involved, law enforcement generally treats the risk of future harm very seriously. And if someone is convicted of qualifying offenses involving crimes against minors, many may eventually be required to register under sex offender or sexual predator registration laws, which people commonly connect with what is often referred to as Megan's Law notification systems. What that means in plain English is that certain convicted offenders may have to register addresses, vehicles, internet identifiers, employment information, and regularly update authorities about where they live depending on the conviction and legal requirements. Their information may become publicly searchable, neighbors can sometimes be notified, and restrictions may exist involving schools, parks, childcare facilities, or places children gather. Finding employment, housing, rebuilding trust, or moving on in life can become extremely difficult after conviction because registration can follow someone for many years, and in some cases for life. At the same time, it is important to remember that arrests are allegations until proven in court. Evidence still has to be tested, and every case must go through the legal process. But the larger message law enforcement often sends in operations like this is clear. Targeting children carries consequences that can follow someone for a very long time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Chase Shakes, the second grade teacher, did you say he's been terminated from the school district?
He has, yes.
Not just on the.
No, he's done. He's gone. Now I hope Rubio, right? I hope Rubio picks up on this and gets rid of the visa, whatever we can do, AG, that he never sets foot on U.S. soil ever again in his lifetime.
For the Attorney General, Colonel House, we're able to ask a question specifically about the wrongful arrest of Lindsay Isaacs in Duluth County. I understand that your criminal attorney met with your office, Mr. Upmeyer, just a couple days ago. How did that meeting go? And do you think that Lindsay Isaacs deserves an apology? And what's the status of those two cases that are being considered?
All right, so you just pissed me off. Now, I'll let him decide if he's going to answer your question, but all this shit, you want to ask him about some other case? We're talking about children. Now, if you're getting that from one of your people that typically is behind the phones that y'all have, wants you to ask that question, tell them to have the gonads to come here and ask me that question. That is what you need to be focused on.
To be fair, we did ask about that. And
It doesn't make a difference. I'm not here to talk about what FHP did. I'm here to talk about what they did, nothing else. Let's get that abundantly clear because it happens. It happens to this poor man all the time. You want to go off on a tangent. This press conference is solely for those pieces of shit that are right there. Are we clear? Do we have an answer? Yes. Okay, answer is no. But I do. Go to the first one, Zach. See that brochure on the right? Pop Warner. That's here in Marion County. So Southwest Marion, you need to be aware. He's out there with the kids at Pop Warner. Nothing wrong with Pop Warner. Do not misinterpret my words. Do not take that in the wrong way, nor convey it in the wrong way. Nothing wrong with Pop Warner. Great program for kids. But you got to be aware of individuals that are in the house. You got a wolf. You got a fox in the hen house. Anybody else?
Do you have any indication that he was preying on kids on the team?
No, not at this time. For his sake, I hope he didn't. Anyone else? I appreciate y'all's time and I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you very much.
One thing many people may be wondering after hearing there was a 16-year-old involved is, how will the court likely handle someone that young? And honestly, this is where things can get complicated because juvenile cases often look very different than adult cases. In situations involving teenagers, courts are usually trying to balance accountability, public safety, and rehabilitation all at the same time. Depending on the exact allegations, prior history, level of planning, seriousness of the behavior, technology involved, whether there were other minors involved, and what prosecutors believe the overall risk is, a teenager may sometimes stay in the juvenile system. While in more serious situations, prosecutors can sometimes try to move cases into adult court. Because this person is only 16, Many people will likely be watching closely to see whether the court views this as behavior that can still be redirected through treatment and intervention, or whether prosecutors believe stronger consequences are necessary. If the case stays in juvenile court, many viewers may be surprised to learn that judges often look at much more than simply the accusation itself. Courts may want to understand why the behavior happened, whether there are mental health concerns, whether there was trauma, online exposure, developmental issues, compulsive behavior, prior warning signs, unsafe internet activity, lack of supervision, peer influence, or deeper psychological concerns that need to be addressed early. In cases involving concerning online behavior or crimes involving minors, courts sometimes order psychological evaluations, psychosexual evaluations, counseling assessments, risk evaluations, family intervention, restricted internet access, probation supervision, therapy recommendations, behavioral treatment, or educational programs designed to understand whether the teenager presents an ongoing risk and what steps might help prevent future harm. The goal in many juvenile situations is not only punishment, it is also figuring out whether intervention can stop harmful behavior before it grows into something much worse in adulthood. And honestly, this part matters for communities too, because many experts believe early intervention is one of the biggest ways to prevent future offending. That does not excuse harmful behavior, and allegations involving minors are still treated very seriously. But professionals also recognize that teenagers are still developing emotionally, mentally, and neurologically, and sometimes serious treatment early can change the direction of someone's life completely. If mental health concerns, compulsive online behavior, trauma, unhealthy exposure, or distorted thinking patterns are identified, courts may recommend therapy, specialized treatment, long-term supervision, digital monitoring, family counseling, psychiatric support if needed, safety plans, and ongoing evaluations. The hope in situations like that is simple: protect children now while also preventing a young person from becoming the adult offender everyone fears later. At the same time, every case depends heavily on the evidence, evaluations, risk level, and what the court ultimately decides is necessary to protect the community. If you made it this far, seriously, thank you for spending your time with me and sitting through this important conversation. I know this video was heavy. I know some parts were uncomfortable. But honestly, these are the conversations we have to be willing to have if we truly want to protect children and stop more families from living through heartbreak that never should have happened in the first place. I made this video for a reason. I made it because awareness matters. Prevention matters. Paying attention matters. And while no system will ever be perfect, the truth is that parents, schools, communities, law enforcement, cybercrime teams, prosecutors, businesses, and everyday people all have a role to play in keeping children safe. We cannot only care when a child disappears and their face is suddenly all over the news. We have to care every single day, in the quiet moments, in the warning signs, in the uncomfortable conversations, in learning the apps, noticing behavior changes, checking in with kids, asking questions, and trusting our instincts when something feels wrong. Awareness cannot start after tragedy happens. It has to start before it. And today, I want to end this video by dedicating it once again to Summer Wells. Summer still matters. Her case still matters. Her family still deserves answers. And while this anniversary is heartbreaking, my hope is that conversations like this, conversations about awareness, prevention, technology, warning signs, and protecting vulnerable children, help prevent more cases like hers from ever happening again. We continue to hope, we continue to pray, and we continue to look for answers for Summer. If you see something, say something. Keep awareness alive every single day. Look out for vulnerable children. Listen when kids talk. Trust your instincts. Support victims. Pay attention to what feels off. Because sometimes one person noticing one small thing can change everything. And please, if you know anything at all about what happened to Summer Wells, no matter how small it may seem, please call 1-800-TBI-FIND. That is 1-800-824-3463. If you saw something, heard something, remember something, or know anything that could help bring Summer home or finally bring answers, please make the call. If this video meant something to you, helped you learn something, or reminded you why awareness matters, please take a quick second to like, share, and subscribe to Crystal's Crime and Music. Sharing these conversations helps spread awareness, helps educate more families, and keeps important conversations alive. Because protecting children is not something we do one day a year, it is something we have to care about every single day. I'm Crystal from Crystal's Crime and Music, and as always, thank you for being here, thank you for hanging out with me, keep awareness alive, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.
And we have breaking news this morning as the search for a 5-year-old girl in Hawkins County continues.
She wanted to go downstairs and play with her toys. So when her mother come in, she says, "Where's Summer?"
We are pursuing every avenue.
Summer Wells was last seen walking out the back door of her house.
Hawkins County deputies, as well as the TBI, are still searching for 5-year-old Summer Wells.
The road to Beach Creek winds through steep hills and dense woods in Hawkins County, Tennessee. It's quiet here now. But 5 years ago, this mountain community became the center of one of the most high-profile missing child cases in the region.
I'd love to see her brought home. Love to see her, that she's alive and safe and well.
It was June 15th, 2021, when 5-year-old Summer Wells disappeared from her family's rural Hawkins County home, setting off a desperate search that would grip the nation.
Despite doing everything within our power, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear.
For days, then weeks, hundreds of volunteers searched these hills and hollers. Crews searched through rough terrain, thick woods, and abandoned structures. The effort quickly became one of the largest searches the area has ever seen.
This terrain, as you can see behind us, guys, is only a small, very small percentage of what these guys day in and day out are going through. I've had multiple of my guys come up to me and tell me, "Captain, I'll go to the end, but I'm tired. I'm physically and I'm mentally tired. We are all one team, and we will not quit until we find Summer Wells."
The TBI, U.S. Marshals, local agencies, neighbors, strangers, all hoping to find this little girl with bright blonde hair and blue eyes. In the first interviews after Summer disappeared, her father, Don Wells, pleaded for help in bringing his daughter home.
We really appreciate that outpouring of love. Really appreciate everybody trying to help that they have, law enforcement and all these volunteers that are here. Just pray that God, with his awesome power, that Summer be okay. And please come home.
At the same time, investigators were trying to determine whether Summer wandered away or whether something much darker had happened.
Rest assured, the agents and Hawkins County detectives are investigating this fully. All avenues are being explored.
According to her mother, Summer spent part of the day swimming at Warriors Path State Park and running errands before returning home. She later helped her grandmother plant flowers, then went downstairs to play. Minutes later, she was gone.
All I know is someone took her from there. That's all I know.
Dawn was at work that evening.
She could have walked out the basement door. Somebody could have knocked on the basement door and she could have opened it, or somebody could have already been inside our basement. We don't know.
Her parents have never been charged in Summer's disappearance. Since then, they've faced scrutiny and harassment from social media and the public.
It was really bad, and we had the police there in our stuff, just constantly ripping our house apart, ripping our vehicles apart. We let them come on our property 10 times to search, and they left a mess every time. Then we had DCS there.
After Summer's disappearance, Child Protective Services took custody of their 3 boys. Dawn says losing them while searching for answers about Summer devastated their family, and he's frustrated with law enforcement.
Hawkins County hasn't been a help to us at all. They helped us out of our kids. That's how they helped us.
There's power in the name of Jesus.
Summer's disappearance also united the community through a number of vigils and prayer. Those closest to Summer say beyond the headlines was a child deeply loved by people around her.
I don't even know that shocking is the word. It was just mind numbing. That is this really happening? It seemed like a bad dream. It just didn't even seem real,
Robin Lane taught Summer in Sunday school before she disappeared. Since her disappearance, she continues to pray for her and hopes that one day she'll return.
I think about Summer every day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her. And there's not a day that goes by I don't pray for her. It's impossible to not think about someone so precious that just vanished. And I think that if anybody lost their own child, they would feel the same way. They wouldn't be able to stop thinking about them.
And she's never seen alive again. How can that be? Where is Summer Wells?
This case seems to be getting more confusing by the hour. I've been doing my own investigations a little bit too.
The subject of my investigation is the disappearance of a 5-year-old little girl from Tennessee.
The case has remained in the spotlight, fueled by social media speculation, YouTube investigations, and endless public debate. But 5 years later, there are still no answers. No arrests. Only theories, rumors, and a family still wondering.
I've tried going out and searching what little bit I could by myself, but that's tough too. So no, I don't search anymore. I mean, I wouldn't know where to search. She could be anywhere in the world. We don't know. You can't search this whole world.
Today, Summer would be 10 years old. And for those who live in Hawkins County, the hope for answers will never disappear.
I don't think there's any place to give up. I know law enforcement have a lot of responsibilities, but for a child just to disappear in thin air, I don't think you could ever give up looking for them.
Summer's disappearance is more than an unsolved case. It's a wound that never fully healed. A reminder of a little girl who vanished, and a mystery that still haunts these mountains. If you have any information about the disappearance of Summer Wells, you're asked to contact the TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND.